If you ask a lot of people why they start a clothing brand, you hear things like, "Hey, I'm a creative," I love fashion and all of that. And while all of that, are true for this brand, LVO, uh, if I were to be honest with you, it did not start because I wanted to start sell clothes. It really started because I felt that something was missing in our culture. So today's episode, I really want to talk to you, about the real problems that Elvio is trying to solve, why we exist, why we came into existence. Hi, I'm Ariezz Adriano, founder and CEO of Lib Vibes Only, or LVO for short. And in today's episode, I really want to have a personal conversation, because a lot of times people see the products, they see our phrases made in Liberia, knows part of the story, things happening, minding my business, all that stuff. They also see the flag on every piece, you know, and it sometimes seems like they're not really getting the deeper reasons behind all of these phrases and why the brand really exists. And I just want to interject here that a couple of weeks ago, I had the opportunity to be on one of my boys' platform, CIT Williams, the We Too Our Liberian Movement podcast. And I was asked this identical question: why does LVO exist? Why are we doing what we do? And while I gave the same answers I'm about to give you right now, I felt like there was more I could do a better job because at the core of all of this, LVO is trying to solve the problem of clarity, which we'll get to in a little bit. But I'll put the link to that in the description, and you can listen to it and listen to this and let me know what you think. But bottom line, today I want to explain the answer to that question very clearly. So some of you may already know or may not know, but prior to starting LVO, I served the United States military. During my time there, I had the opportunity to live across the world. I lived in Asia for a time. I lived in Europe for a time. I've been living in America for a while now, but I mean, we are Liberians. So prior to that, I've lived in, other communities. But during my time, traveling the world and seeing all of these things, there was something that I really noticed that stood out to me, and it was the fact that I observed that for the communities that were very clear, about their identity, who they were, their history, where they came from, and all that kind of stuff, they moved quite differently. There was this level of confidence that they operated with. They were very organized. Progress was, just in sight. You know, they represent themselves intention. That's another thing I really liked. So I often ask myself the question: what happens when your identity lacks clarity? And those were the beginning thoughts of the formation of what we now call LIB Vibes Only. There's no doubt, Liberians, we have an incredible culture, incredible history, incredible heritage. I mean, it's embedded with humor, sometimes to our detriment, creativity, resilience, talent, but globally, our representation is really inconsistent, and most times it lack quality. Sometimes it lacks structure. Many times it lacks structure. Sometimes they even feel like temporary, instead of intentional. So I want to say that the first problem that LV was trying to solve was that problem of representation. We're not trying to decorate and make clothes just for fashion and all that, but we're trying to address the problem of representation. In that, I wanted that when Liberians, wore LVO or when they came across LVO, they could immediately be proud. I want the Liberians to have something they could wear that, wear that communicated that instant national pride. I basically want the Liberians to say, I know who I am and I'm proud of that. There's a quiet tension when it comes to Liberians, especially those of us in the diaspora. We hang out with other nationalities, some of our closest neighbors, Nigerian Ghanaians, and we see, how they operate. And because, we are liking many of the things they have, in their countries, it puts us in a weird spot. Sometimes we have to minimize. Most times we minimize. You hearing how we talk. My this, my dad. My little this, my little that, and all that stuff. Um, but I want that LVO to be a response to that. I want that LVO to be a way of saying that, hey, we don't have to minimize. We can be bold. We can be loud. We can be expressive. But more importantly, we can move with dignity, with excellence, with pride. So for me, placing the Liberian flag, on every piece of our item meant a lot. It really came across as a responsibility, and I really want that flag to mean the same to every one of you. It means that when you wear that flag, every decision you are making, should be represented with honor. That's what it is here at LVO. Because we put the flag on all of our clothes, it means that every decisions we are making has to be honorable. So that has influenced how we move. We do not negotiate quality. Uh, Quality is non-negotiable. You can find that in our manufacturing, our designing, and now our storytelling, because I believe pride deserves excellence. So that brings me to the second problem that LVO is trying to solve, which is the problem of communication. You see the clothing, you know, but you may not fully understand the mission on the brand, and this is why this podcast exists. To be the official voice of the brand, to help explain our mindset, educate you, build our community, because culture deserves conversation. So this is like an open invitation to people, members of our community, people that have been following the brand, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. So the third problem LV is trying to solve, which it really is at the core of everything we're trying to do here, is to address the Liberian mindset. You know, the mindset I want to suggest is that identity is our power, and it's true. How we see ourselves will influence how we behave. That's gonna influence who we decide to lead us. That's gonna influence, what we accept and don't accept, how we show up in the world, all that stuff. So I believe when our identity becomes clearer, our communities, our nation, it's gonna move differently, more intentionally, and yeah, I believe this is really the key. Clarity is missing in a lot of things we do, and I just want to true fashion and true LVO, play my part in clarifying that library identity. So LVO isn't just clothing, it's evolving quickly into a cultural platform. We have powers, we got media, we got community, we got experiences, um, like the pop-ups and all that stuff. Um, but all of these are working together to build a short something that's long term, because culture without structure will really is really temporary, and we are trying to build legacy here. So this was really just a interlude between the first and second season, like I mentioned in the last episode of the first season. Season two is coming. In there, you can expect deeper conversations. We're going to be talking to more personalities, you know, in all aspects of the culture, and the hope is that we can drive this conversation that ultimately, begin to streamline our mindset, and bring this clarity to the Liberian identity. And really, man, if I were to summarize everything I'm really trying to push here, is that we need to be clear, clear about our identity, clear about our representation, clear of, our purposes, our intentions, and that's true here at LVO. Everything we do, has to go through those lenses. So I hope this was informative. If you haven't done already and you like what I'm trying to do here, you support it, hey, please, help share the word, help, in any way you think you can to get this word across. And uh, remember, it's bigger than the clothes. Yeah, the clothes is nice, the quality and all that, but it's bigger than that. And I really hope that this message can really transcend, across our culture. Let's get clear on our identity. Until then, Elvio is going to do his part. Real vibes only, no spotter story. See you in the next episode. Peace.